Hit record. All righty. Good morning, good afternoon. Hi, hello, everybody. Welcome to Selling Authentically Email and Offer Strategies. We are super excited to be here. We've got about 40 minutes straight of information, really good tactics and strategies and how you tie everything together. And then we've got about 20 minutes or so for Q&A dedicated. So if you've got questions along the way, please pop them in the chat. We'll do our best to listen and speak to them in the actual training, but also you've got plenty of time at the end. So with that being said, Andrea, do you want to go ahead and kick us off?
Yes. So for those of you who may not know, I'm Andria Singletary. I am a social media optional business strategist. I work primarily with mom business owners, but also support women in general. But my clients are typically ready to grow without the pressure to post daily, grow without relying on social media. And so one of the things I'm really big on is building a marketing system made for your real life. As we know, life happens to all of us, whether you have kids or not, whatever season of life you're in. And so I'm all about building a marketing system that can continue to work for you, even when you can't show up online daily, even when you can't post and different things like that. And so my mission is to really empower women to build and grow on their terms without burnout and still be present in their everyday lives, be present for their families and everything like that. And so, with that said, as we know, with live workshops and webinars and stuff, there's going to be a pitch. So, Chrissy and I thought it would be best to just share our pitch with you at the start. And so, I have an offer that will support you with implementing the strategies I will be teaching today related to email marketing. It's called the Email Reset. And essentially, you submit 4 of your emails to me for me to audit. Now, this isn't a basic audit. This isn't me like, oh, yeah, throw a CTA in right here. No, I go through line by line and really looking at are your emails supporting your goals? And so part of the process is you will submit an onboarding form where I learn more about you, your business, who you serve, your offers. And I take that information and really audit your emails through that lens. Like, are you actually writing emails to the people you are called to serve? Are you actually selling your offers and selling them in a way that makes sense for your email community? So right now it's in the beta testing, and so it's available for 147. I'll be sharing the link at the end where you can learn more. So Chrissy, I'm gonna pass it over to you.
Gosh. And I'll say before I even introduce myself, hi, hello, my name's Christy Mellinger. But Andrea and I had the idea for this presentation because we chatted, oh goodness, it's over a year now, around everything that she just said of marketing where you don't have to be on in your business. We're going to talk about revenue where you don't have to be on in your business all the time. And I just really want to second everything Andrea just said in her bio. So, hi, my name is Christy Mellinger. I'm a business consultant for mission-driven service providers who are ready to go from overworked, overwhelmed, doing all the things, wearing all the hats, and frankly, being miserable by the end of the week because they're burnt out, they're exhausted, and as much as they are enjoying the business, they're really not enjoying the business anymore because there's so much efforting involved with all of it, and they're very much on the on state every single moment of every single day. I help them get out of that and into that really amazing sense of time freedom where you have flexibility in your schedule, where you have space in your schedule, and that your rhythms actually work really well for you. So it might be that you work really well late at night. Great. How do you structure your business so that you are working between 7 p.m. and midnight? If you really want to work when your kids are at school, how do you structure revenue and everything else to support that? I am all about the both and in life, both the really big business impact, changing the world, the financial success and security that comes with business ownership, and the peaceful, present, being able to actually enjoy life. My mission is to get more money, power, and influence into the hands of women through profitable business ownership. And my pitch to you is everything we're going to talk through today from a revenue side. Book a 60-minute revenue strategy session with me at 50% off. So it's $125 for an hour. And we're going to actually figure out how to implement the revenue system that I'm going to talk about with your business, with your goals, with your lifestyle in a way that is easy and actionable. Because we're going to give you a lot of really great information, which is awesome. And as Andrea said, we often know that being in a workshop doesn't mean you actually do the work involved. So I'm going to help you get there. So with that, let's get into why we're here today. Our goal is for you to walk away understanding exactly how to integrate your email marketing and your revenue streams together to have a profitable, sustainable business. More specifically, we're going to look at how to diversify your revenue streams so that your income is more reliable and less risky. We know that 2025 is a very strange economic year. There's a lot of trust recession around B2B and B2C businesses. So we're going to also talk about how to increase your conversion rate so that you're not just doing more things hoping that it lands. Then we're going to walk through how to sell through email while still sounding like yourself and building true relationships. At the end of the day, your business is based on relationships. So that's the whole underlying approach we're talking about with revenue and email, is how to build those relationships. And then finally, integrating the two of them. How do you integrate revenue and email to work together? So when it comes to the revenue side of things, a couple of things I want you to ask yourself, and feel free to stick them in the chat and build community and let us know who we've got in the room with us. When it comes to the way that you make money in your business, are you relying on one-on-one services? Do you feel capped on your income and maxed out on your time? If those things apply, definitely in the right spot. We're going to cover that. Are you working with a traditional business model of one signature offer with a possible downsell and a little bit of an upsell, and that is your quote unquote robust offer suite? If it is, totally okay. We've been there. Are you focusing more on your marketing and not actually looking at the way that you're making money? Or are you ready to scale, but you don't actually know what that looks like? Have you thought about, do I need a course or a membership? Is it more digital products? Is it a mastermind? What is it? How do you stop trading time for money and really start to open up more space and flexibility? And then my last question is, are you feeling overwhelmed and unsure where to prioritize your focus? As business owners, especially if you are a solopreneur or someone with a really, really small team, you wear a lot of hats. You're the sole decision maker most of the time on how your money comes in, how you market, how your operations are set up, what expenses you have. There are so many different things involved with being a business owner that it can be easy to get overwhelmed, confused, and just scattered of like there are 15 different fires to put out. So today in the revenue side, especially, we're going to be really talking through making sure that you don't have those fires to have to put out and that you're not constantly chasing that next best fit client. So if any of this applies to you, awesome, you're in the right spot. So when it comes to revenue, the first thing I want to talk about here is the fact that there are two components to the revenue side. One of it is mindset, one of it is strategic. When we talk about the mindset behind revenue, I want you to shift what might sound like a really subtle thing in your brain. When I ask my clients or people in the world, because I'm nosy, how do you make money in your business? Most of the time, the answers I get back are, I sell one-on-one services. I sell a membership. I sell this. I sell a 6-month deal. I sell a 3-month deal. I sell. The rest of the sentence doesn't really matter because it's based on the active having to show up, having to do something, and this implication in our brain of in order to make money, I must constantly be doing a thing. And that question, if you're asking yourself when you sit down at the start of the month or on a Monday morning, thinking, okay, what am I selling this week? That has a restrictive quality to it. That gives the impression of, okay, I've got 4 spots to fill this month. what do I got to do to hustle and make that work? We're not about the hustle. We're not about, well, having to do all the time. We're about strong, strategic, aligned action and hauling some ass to get it done, but not about the hustle. So the first step is, instead of thinking about how you're making money, what you're doing to get your income in, of how am I selling, what am I selling, I want you to shift it to, how am I making money? That gives you a little bit more of an expansive mindset, because there are so many different ways that you can make money. And we're going to talk about more of that. But that's the first thing, is really getting the mindset and their perspective in place here. The second thing is, okay, great. What do we actually do though? What are the things that we tangibly do that we can check off the list? First things first is stop doing some of this stuff. What most people make the mistake of doing when it comes to revenue is focusing on what they can sell. We've already talked about that. Trading time for money, that's really relying only on things that are not scalable. I do want to add a caveat here that there are some people who aren't necessarily building a scalable business, who are very happy with only one-on-one work. If that's you, great. It's probably not, because you're here talking about how to grow and scale your revenue. But you want to make sure that you are intentionally trading time for money. If you are someone who really wants to do the one-on-one work, great. There's an intention to that. However, if you want your business to be more scalable, that you're not in the weeds all the time doing it, that's when we want to get out of that. When people start to shift out of the, okay, great, I've got my framework down, I've got the understanding, I'm making good money, now I actually want to have more freedom in my day, they get into passive income. Okay, great, I want to just make money without having to do anything. But the mistake that most people make here is not applying strategy to it, and not making sure that the way they're creating passive income, please note the quotations that I put around passive, they're missing the part where it incorporates into the buyer's journey. All of your offers should fit into a buyer's journey that makes sense. Just because you can do something, you can sell something, you can create something, does not mean that you should. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And then the last thing that people make the mistake of really often is that they ignore revenue completely and they focus on marketing. They think, okay, I've got my signature offer, I've got my downsell, I've got my tripwire or my upsell, I'm good to go. I'm not going to think about anything else, and I'm just going to market the hell out of it. But if you're missing the revenue piece, you're putting way too much pressure on the marketing, and we know that that doesn't help. So instead of all that stuff that's not supportive, that's unhelpful, what I want you to have instead is a true revenue system, not an offer suite, revenue system. And this has 3 buckets. Bucket number 1 is going to be 1 to 2 signature or core offers. Bucket number 2 is going to be what I call stepping stone offers. And then bucket number 3 is going to be ancillary streams. Each one of these has a specific purpose to it. So bucket number 1, signature offers, we all know what this is. This is the thing that you are known for. It is the mastermind, the group program, the framework, the one-on-one, the thing that is brand associated with you. So we know when we talk about Andria Singletary, we've got an amazing membership in place. She has done a great job making that connection. So the primary goal of your signature offer is going to be a primary driver of your revenue. It's where most of your resources are going into, and it's where most of your money tends to come from, at least until you've got everything else really solidly built up. We don't want to stop here though. If all you have is a signature offer, you are missing out on the vast majority of people who you can help and who want to work with you. The example I'm going to use for the rest of my little segment here is, let's pretend you're a nutritionist and your core signature product is a 6-month program. that focus on 3 core pillars. That's a lot of time, right? A 6-month program is really specific. It's probably also a fairly decent price point. So you're restricting the number of people who have that time and who have that money available to them. Also restricting the number of people who are at the exact right spot to really be an ideal candidate, which is why we want to add in the second bucket. The second bucket here is stepping stone offers. The whole goal of this is to increase your conversion rate by building true relationships with your people. When we can build real relationships, we build that know, like, and trust. We're building up credibility. We're building up 3 core beliefs. Our jobs as business owners are to build up the belief in us as the person to help our client, build up the belief in our process as the process to best help our clients, and also to help build up the belief in our clients that they are capable of the thing that they want. And we can do that by providing additional touch points, by providing additional opportunities to work together that build that connection. Instead of saying, oh, I'm a nutritionist with a 6-month program at $6,000, you can only have a 30-minute sales call and then you've got to pop straight on into that. That's a big gap. There's a lot of space between let me talk to you for 30 minutes and let me give you $6,000. So our stepping stone offers are going to build that deeper relationship. So I work really well with visuals. I'm going to share a quick visual. This is the breakdown of a typical service-based business. You got your signature offer and then a little downsell and then a little upsell. You'll see on this horizontal line that is the buyer's journey, there's a lot of space over here that's not being utilized. Because let's say your signature offer of 6 months, your downsell is 3 months at $3,000. That still focuses on 3 different pillars, still focuses on a lot of change. Not everybody's looking for all of that change at once. So when we can really build in strategic, intentional, purposeful stepping stone offers, we build that relationship. So this is a really sloppy, real little breakdown of stepping stone offers, right? The stepping stones can look like small email challenges that lead into 6-week programs, that change into 2-month programs, that change into 1 pillar of the 3 that you normally focus on, going really deep into that. And then most of your stepping stone offers are going to be on the before your signature offer side, right? Because it's all about deepening that relationship, building up that know, like, and trust. You can also have stepping stones that are on the other side. I really love these as maintenance packages. Going off that same example of a nutritionist with a 6-month program, that client who finishes the 6 months, they're happy, they've got their nutrition, they've got their sleep, they've got their movement all squared away. You can have maintenance packages. So instead of just saying, okay, great, thanks, it's been a great 6 months, see ya, you can then offer them something like a 1-month touch point or a quarterly check-in or assessments every now and then, depending on what your service is. Stepping stones are all about that relationship, helping you stay top of mind with your clients, helping you really build up the fact that, no, you want to work with me to help you solve your nutrition issues. You want to work with me because my framework makes sense because you've already tasted it in a 5-day challenge, in a 2-week group program, in a 1-month offer. It's building up that whole relationship. So stepping stones, like I said, are primarily going to be before your signature offer because it's building up that relationship. It's kind of that like dating of you and your offer, but you do also have it on the flip side where you can have maintenance offers, maintenance packages, or things like that. So stepping stones are great because it's going to increase the conversion. It shortens the amount of time for someone to become a paying client for you. Gets you more revenue in the door, which is always great. But for the most part, these are still going to require you to be a part of the delivery. You can absolutely create some evergreen style packages here. You can go live a couple of times and then sell the recorded program or workshop or whatever it is, but you're still involved in the delivery somehow. And we know that there are seasons in business and life where we just don't. We don't have capacity for more things. You don't have the desire for more things. It's the holidays or summer break, or you just want a vacation and you don't want to be working as much as you were last month. That's where the ancillary streams come into play. So ancillary streams of revenue are all about that cash influx, that cash injection, with the core description being you are not involved in the delivery of the good or the product. The two most common forms of ancillary streams are going to be affiliate programs or referral partnerships. These are things that can happen with really small amounts of work on your part. It's sending out an email introduction. Your brain has already had the thought, oh, I just met Linda, who's a great website designer. I know my friend Catherine needs a website. Great, gonna put them in touch with each other. If you're a referral partner of Linda, you're gonna make some cash off of that. Your brain is already doing the work, making that connection, and it takes 5 minutes to write an email introduction, and then 5 minutes to follow up with Linda. So the ancillary streams are typically going to be the last part of your revenue system that comes into place because it's not the primary driver. It's not building up that relationship. It is continuing to provide value because whatever you are an affiliate or a referral partner for, you want to make sure that it's in integrity and makes sense for your business. As a business consultant, I am not going to be a referral partner for a furniture company. That doesn't make sense for me. I am, however, going to be an affiliate of a nervous system embodiment program because I believe in nervous system regulation with work. So making sure that your ancillary streams really make sense. So you've got your primary driver, the way that you are spending most of your time and the way that you're making most of your cash. You've got your increased conversion stepping stone offers, which honestly can lead to a lot of money as well. And then you've also got ancillary cash injections. So the last thing I want to say here is how do you actually take everything that I just talked about and make it happen? You identify what you have and what you don't of what I listed out. For the things that you have, you identify whether they make sense or not. Do you need to change, keep, or delete them? And then you're brainstorming what the highest priority is that is going to get you the time and the money that you want. Go out and do the one thing, and then come back and make sure that you have plans in place to get the rest of it done as well. That is the revenue system that builds relationship, that builds trust, that follows your people around their buyer's journey and is not based in transactions. All righty. I'm going to stop my share. Andrea, if you want to go ahead and take us through how we're going to use email.
Yes, let me share my screen. All right, so now that we've learned from Chrissy how to build out this amazing revenue system based on our goals as well as just our current season of life, let's move into how do we actually sell these offers through email. So, I want to know, is this you? Have you ever found yourself wondering if email marketing actually works for you? Maybe you've felt like your emails are getting ignored or met with silence. You never have anyone reply to your emails, or it's a rare occasion. You feel like you're writing to the right people, but maybe you're just not saying the right thing. Your messaging isn't landing with your people. You find yourself where you feel like you sound more like a professor than sounding like your natural voice, writing in your natural voice. You may feel like you are bothering people or you're cluttering their inbox. So maybe you don't send sales emails as often or you don't sell at all. Maybe when you're writing your emails, you feel like you edit them so much that you've completely lost your voice. If you've resonated with any of these, it's no wonder email marketing feels like a chore. It feels like this thing you should be doing, but you don't enjoy it. You're not seeing the results that you want to see. And if you feel that way, it doesn't mean that you're bad at email. Um, what it is that there's a disconnect between your offer strategy and your email strategy. And so we have to get those on the same page so that way email marketing actually starts working for you. Okay, so I want to start with the mindset blocks behind this idea or this belief that email isn't working for you. So, if you struggle with that fear of bothering people, again, thinking you're cluttering their inbox or you're adding to the noise in their inbox, if this is something that comes up a lot for you, it may lead to you pulling back. So, not sending as many emails or actually tiptoeing around your messaging, like tiptoeing around the things that you actually want and need to say to your people. Um, Another mindset block is trying to sound professional. And this really leads to you blending in instead of standing out, and it makes it harder to connect with your audience. And I bring this one up because I've seen with a lot of clients, many of us, we either came from a 9 to 5 before we started our businesses, or we went to college and we were told to do email a certain way. It was ingrained in us that we have to be professional when we write emails. And so this can spill over into your email marketing. And so instead of you writing in your natural voice or showing up as your authentic self, you're showing up as this overly polished and refined person because you want to be taken seriously as a business owner. But all of it does, like that interferes with you actually building that connection with your audience. That interferes with you actually coming off as relatable to your people. Another mindset block is maybe when you sit down and write emails, you're waiting for the perfect words to come to you, or you're overthinking what to actually write. And this usually leads to you not sending anything at all. You just don't send an email. The last one is not wanting to come off pushy when selling. So you know you should be selling your offers, but you're worried that you might be too pushy or you're coming off, as a sleazy car salesman or something like that. And so this can lead to you not selling your offers at all, or maybe you mention it as an afterthought. So you only sell in the PS and different things like that. So these mindset blocks can impact how you're actually showing up in your emails. And they can lead to you making one or all of these mistakes. So, the first mistake I often see with email marketing is that you end up putting yourself in the friend zone. So, what I mean by this is you give so much value in your emails, you educate, and you end up nurturing your list to death. And it's to the point where when you do happen to sell your offers, no one's clicking to your sales page. You're not seeing those conversions. And the reason why is that you have shown your audience that, like, yeah, you're their number one hype woman. You're showing up, educating them, giving them all this value, but you've never, or you're not consistently making that invitation for them to make the next step with you. You're not consistently telling them how you can support them with implementing these things that you're educating them on. And so you've been put in the friend zone. They love your emails, they read your emails, they may even respond to them, but they're not actually investing in working with you. Another mistake is censoring your voice. So this kind of goes back to, writing in a way where you sound overly professional and you're not writing in your authentic voice. It also kind of comes into play where maybe there's something you really want to say to your email community, but you tell yourself, no, they don't want to hear that. I'm not going to share that thing. You're censoring yourself. And usually that very thing where you're like, maybe I shouldn't say that, or that's going to ruffle some feathers, is the very thing that your people need to hear. And so again, when you censor your voice, it makes it harder to connect with your people. It makes it harder for them to really get to know you because a part of seeing those conversions, a part of people actually investing to work with you is that they need to know you. They need to trust you. You need to build that relationship. And then the last thing is only selling during a launch or only showing up when you have something to sell. So, this is something I see happen every year. I'll join someone's email list early in the year, don't hear from them all year. And then the week of Black Friday, I'm getting like 10 emails a day. I don't remember how I joined their email list. I don't even know what they necessarily do. And so I just get frustrated and unsubscribe because it feels transactional. I didn't really get to know them. That relationship wasn't built. They just see this as an opportunity to sell something to me. And so you don't want to be that person. This is why it's important to show up consistently with your email community, whether that's emailing them weekly, bi-weekly, but just making sure you're staying top of mind, you're making those connections, you're building that relationship. So that way, when you do get ready to sell your offers, there isn't this disconnect. They're not feeling like this is just a one-sided relationship. Okay, so here is what I want you to do instead. The first thing is that we have to shift the energy around a couple of things. I want you to stop looking at email marketing as this business task that you have to do, but look at it as a way to actually connect with your people, to build relationships, but also look at it as an opportunity to tell your people how you actually can help them. You know, they joined your list because they had a specific problem, and you kind of hinted at like, "Hey, I have the solution," but you have to tell them about that solution. The next thing is instead of thinking about, how do I sell my offer to my email list? How can I actually help them to decide that this is the right offer for them? So we're not here to, pressure anybody or, convince someone that they need this very thing. We're just like, hey, I know you have this problem. This is the solution that can help you achieve X, Y, and Z transformation. And so you're giving them that information. So look at it differently on how you approach selling in your email marketing. Next, I want you to write like you talk, and more so, write like how you talk to your clients. I bring this up because you don't want people to think you're a certain way. So, like how you are in your content. And then when they invest to work with you, they're getting somebody else. They're going to feel like they're catfished. So, you want to make sure that how you are when you're working with your clients is the same person you're showing up as in your content in general, but specifically email marketing. So, for me, I write like I talk and I write like I talk to my clients. So like it's no surprise when my clients they've been on my email list and then they invest in one of my offers, they're getting that same person. And just to kind of share a quick little story, I had a client who she was following someone on social media, absolutely loved her content, resonated with it, and then she decided to join the woman's mastermind. Well, the first mastermind call, the woman started cussing like a sailor. The woman never cussed in her content or anything like that. And for my client, that was very jarring. Like, this seems like a completely different person than I thought I was investing in. And so you don't want to create that type of experience for, potential clients and everything because that's going to break that trust. So just show up as your authentic self. Talk like the way that write like the way that you talk and making sure like how you normally communicate with your clients, you want to convey that through your email marketing. So when you're writing your emails and stuff. And then also, just within this, you want to give yourself permission to say what's on your heart. So, sharing those unpopular opinions and those hot takes and different things like that, because that's how you really find your people. That's how you really like build that connection and build that trust because we see a lot of the things that go on in the online space. We see a lot of some of the things that are done that are just wrong and unethical and different things like that. And so your people are waiting for you to speak up on those things and share your opinions on those things and whatnot. And then lastly, making sure you're bringing in your personality, your stories, and your values. This is how, again, you really call in those ideal clients. This is how you build those connections. So I'm not saying, put all your business out there or anything like that. But if you have stories that are relevant to your ideal clients, so like for me, my ideal clients are mom business owners. I often share stories about motherhood and entrepreneurship and stories about my kids and stuff because my audience resonates with that. And then also just sharing your values and your beliefs, especially just in this political climate right now. Like people need to know what you stand for because if they're not sure, they're not going to invest in working with you. Okay, and then lastly is selling your offers authentically. So we've talked a little bit about negative feelings around selling, but one of the things I want to really help you shift away from, like if you feel uncomfortable selling or it's just something where it just doesn't come naturally for you, a lot of time those feelings come from our own experiences of being sold to, whether that's getting a cold DM where someone pretty much told you you sucked and this is the solution they have for you, whether that's you've invested in offers and maybe the person didn't deliver, maybe they didn't, actually keep their offer promise. And so that can cause you to have negative feelings because maybe you're thinking your audience is thinking that about you. And so, one of the things I want you to remember is that you're not a scammer. You're not out here trying to take advantage of people or just take their money. Like, you're really trying to help people. And the only way that you can actually help them is by telling them how they can get support from you, telling them, what your offers are and everything like that. But to kind of further help with this, one of the things you want to make sure is that you're only making promises you actually can keep. So, oftentimes we'll share our offer promise or the transformations we help our clients achieve, when we're selling our offers via email. And so you just want to make sure that these offer promises are things that you can actually deliver on, that the transformations you're promising is something that is typical across clients. So it's just operating in integrity here. And then also being honest about who is and isn't a good fit for your offers. I always recommend, like, if you're doing a launch, like an email launch, always have an email that breaks down like who is and isn't a good fit for your offers because you don't want people joining your offers when it really is not a good fit for them because they're going to have a bad experience and you may risk them speaking negatively about you. But also, too, you'll see as you're sending more sales emails, you're going to get those email replies where people are asking whether or not they're a good fit for your offer. This is something that I often have happen, and I'm honest, like I let them know like who is the ideal client for this specific offer, and based on what they share with me, if they're not a good fit, I will tell them that, hey, right now this is not a good fit for you, and I may, recommend them go work with someone else or different things like that. But again, just operating in integrity. And then a big part of selling your offers authentically is being bold and confident when selling your offers. Your people can tell when you don't feel good about your offer or you're not proud of that offer. And so you want to make sure that the offers you're putting out there, you actually believe in them. You actually know, like, this is what people need, and that needs to come through in your content. So this means we're not hiding our, sell in the PS of the email. No, we are putting them in the body of the email. We are proudly and confidently talking about our offers in different ways. So selling the transformation, sharing client stories, sharing case studies, even sharing how we are utilizing our own, strategies and frameworks and the results that we achieve, through implementing these things. And then the last thing is answering people's questions about your offers in your emails. So we get questions about our offers, whether that's from, potential buyers, clients before they actually invested in working with us. And so, one of the things I love to do, like when I'm selling my offer, is creating emails around those specific questions. So, you're able to address objections, you're able to, speak to their different concerns before they even ask you. Okay. So I am not big on following, rules and different things like that. But there's one rule that I believe everyone should follow when it comes to email marketing. And that is every email should have one purpose, one goal, and one reader in mind. So for your purpose, why are you writing this email? Is this to increase engagement where you want to get your people talking to you? Are you selling a specific offer? Are you trying to nurture your audience some more? So maybe you're trying to send them over to your podcast or your blog. Are you trying to prime them for an upcoming launch? Like, why are you writing this email? The next thing is that what do you want people to do after they read your email? So this is your call to action. This is your goal. What do you want them to do? Do you want them to click to go over to your sales page? Do you want them to click to go listen to a podcast episode? Do you just want them to reply to your email? And then lastly, who are you actually talking to in this email? So this is where we kind of bring in buyer types for sales emails, but also we do have different people in our audience. So you want to go into writing your emails knowing each of these things because it's going to help shape your email, but also it's going to help you avoid overstuffing your email with too much information. We don't want three different call to actions. So if you ultimately want people to click to go to your sales page, don't include a link to your podcast episode or your blog post because that is going to work against you. You want them to focus on that main call to action. Now, there is a caveat with this. If you're like me and if you sell in your podcast or sell in your blog post, and the specific piece of content you're trying to send them to is related to that email topic and it's selling that same offer, then yeah, you can include that as a PS because they're going to get sold to in the other piece of content. But if you're just doing it because you want to give them something free too, no, if it's a sales email, we are just selling in that email. Okay, now I'm getting close to wrapping this up, but I did want to dive a little bit into buyer types. I'm not going to break down what each buyer type is, but I'm going to give you an example and show you how you can sell authentically to the different buyer types. And I wanted to include this because typically when you write emails, we typically write for the type of buyer we are. I'm an emotional buyer, and so I easily write emails for emotional buyers. Like that is just how my mind works. But not everyone in my audience is an emotional buyer. I have to think about the different buyer types. So, I'm using my own offers as examples, but let's start with the logistical buyer. So, I have a mom who wants to join my membership, the Social Media Detox Club, and she has a few questions. She wants to know, are there any live calls? What type of support is available? How much time do I actually need to set aside to go through the curriculum? So, for this mom, I need to be very clear and straightforward. I need to give her all those details. She needs the features of my offer. So she can actually decide, okay, is this something I can realistically commit to right now? Is this something that actually fits into my life right now? So I want to make sure if I'm writing some sales emails that I have an email that specifically will speak to this type of buyer. Then you have your analytical buyer. So I have a mom who's considering my podcast audit and strategy session. And so she wants to get more into the details. So one of the things I talk about with this offer is my income framework, and it's the lens through which I audit people's podcasts. So she wants to know, like, what all does that entail? Like, how are you actually auditing my podcast? And then can I show her, a breakdown of what she's actually going to walk away with? So for her, I need to walk her through the step by step process of this podcast audit and strategy session, but also give her examples and data. She needs data to back this up. So, why am I doing it this way? What are the numbers around these specific aspects and everything? Okay. Then we have me, the emotional buyer. So I have a mom who she's reading about my one-on-one support, and she says that she just wants a marketing plan that lets her be present for her kids without feeling guilty about her business. So for her, I'm really going to lead with empathy. I'm going to acknowledge her feelings and paint a picture of the transformation she wants. This is where I can really bring in my brand story because part of why I am so big on helping moms build a marketing plan that's made for their real lives is my own story of what I went through when I first started my business and how life was really chaotic for me and I couldn't show up on socials. I needed another way to still stay visible, still nurture my audience, and still sell my offers without requiring me to be present, or online and everything. So me sharing that story, she can connect with that. She can really see, like, okay, Andrea really gets it. Then you have the impulsive buyer. So I have a mom, she sees my Voxer coaching flash sale and she immediately clicks in, knows like, okay, I need this. Where is the link? So for your impulsive buyer, they typically can just look at your offer and immediately know whether or not they want to invest. But when you're writing sales emails for them, you want to make it easy. You want to highlight the urgency. You want to keep the decision super low lift, and the call to action needs to be front and center. But also with the emails for them, they need to be short and sweet. They don't need a whole lot of information. It needs to be straight to the point and give them the link so they can go click and buy. And then lastly, we have the skeptical buyer. So this is a mom who's eyeing my email reset. And she's like, I've already bought email templates that didn't work. How is this different from the stuff I've wasted my money on? And so for her, I really have to build trust. I have to show that social proof, those client wins, but also really explain how my approach is different from what she's already tried. So one of the things I may do, which I am going to be doing with promoting my email reset, is talking about why I don't believe in using email templates and how they really cause you to lose your voice. But also, those templates weren't written for your business, they weren't written for your audience. And so they're kind of working against you. So I would share those type of things in an email to her so that way she can see how this offer is different and can really support her. So that is it for that. Just to kind of wrap this up. So one of the things I want to say is like if you haven't been seeing the results you want to see with your email, it doesn't mean you need to scrap your email list and start over. But also too, maybe you've been hesitant to actually get started with email marketing. And maybe you think you need to wait till you get better or, get better at copywriting and you don't. All it really comes down to is you showing up as your authentic self, confidently selling your offers, and just being mindful of the different types of buyers in your audience. So, my action step for you is what is one thing you can apply from today's training to your next email to either make your email sound more like you or to boldly sell your offer? Let us know in the chat. Okay, and now we're gonna open up for Q&A. Um, so yeah.
I'm going to actually start us off, Andrea. I've got a question because I am very much an analytical buyer, and that's mine to do is start writing for more buyer types. Do you have a suggestion on how often we should switch up the buyer type that we're working towards? Like if I'm sending out twice weekly emails, am I talking to two different buyer types each week?
So, when I focus more so on the buyer types, it's more so in sales emails. So, like for your sales emails, definitely switch it up. Um, More so like when someone is doing a launch and, typically they'll send out a few emails a day over the span of a week. You want to make sure those emails are written for the different buyer types and everything. So yeah, I would say that, but like more so like your engagement emails or your nurturing emails, because you're not so much selling in those emails, you don't have to think about the buyer types as much. But I will say again, like if you do have different people in your audience, definitely making sure you're kind of segmenting your list that way, so that way you're sharing the content that is relevant to them and so forth. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Heather said her one thing is to keep her or keep it more, her emails more in her voice and less professional business writing. Oh, there's a question for you, Chrissy.
All right. What would a revenue system look like for a done for you service provider? I can give you a little bit more specifics. Can you tell me what your general done for you service is? Okay, well, while you're adding that in there, yes, okay, sorry. Brand and graphic design. So, not knowing really anything else about your business. Okay, you can have different tiers of it. So, a revenue system might look like, let's say your brand and graphic design is a full redesign, right? Like you're going to give the brand the entire brand design and all of their core assets, and you're going to give them the graphics around logos, banners, email signatures, like the whole kit and caboodle. That's typically going to be your signature offer, right? Whereas your stepping stones may be pieces of that. So maybe a stepping stone offer is an audit of what they've got going on right now with a roadmap of here are my key suggestions of how I would make that better, with a prioritization of these are the top 3 things that are going to have the biggest impact right now. So that could be one of your stepping stones. Another stepping stone, once they get through that, because when we talk about revenue systems, it's a little bit the offer side of your funnel, right? We can think about it that way. A next stepping stone might be a brand intensive where you're actually going through and helping them figure out what the brand is. I know it's done for you, but you can give some of that coaching, some of that education, and also do just the brand side. Then another one could be just the graphic side. So it's basically how can you take your signature and break it into smaller pieces that meets them exactly where they're at right now. Not everybody is ready for a full-blown redesign or design, but they are ready for an audit. They are ready for just getting into the graphics, making sure that they have the core things that they need in order to go out there and pitch themselves or whatever that looks like. Does that help, Georgiana? Cool beans.
Okay, it looks like I got a question from Sarah. So it says, I hadn't thought about the buyer type, so I need to think about that for sure. I do need to bring in more sales into, or I think she says, I do need to bring in more sales into my previous just share knowledge emails. Okay, maybe it's not a question, but I will say, like, you can give value and sell in the same email. You can educate and sell in the same email. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm a firm believer in sending more sales emails, especially like think about it, like the buyer's journey is a lot longer. Like that whole cycle is longer. People need more touch points. And so the more you talk about your offers, the more exposure they're going to get, and you'll start seeing people click over to go check out your sales page. You'll start getting those email replies where people are asking questions about your offers, but you have to talk about your offers more. And I know we assume like everybody opens their emails, but they don't. Like they may miss them and everything. And so this is also why you need to talk about your offers more.
And also, can I add something onto that one? You got me when you were talking about the consistency of the email. Black Friday week is a week that I like really scrub clean all of the stuff that I forgot that I had signed up for. So the more that you're selling, the more you're building up that like, hey, I got this paid offering. Hey, I got this thing. It just goes back to what Andrea said at the beginning of letting them know and helping them decide. So just sell, 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 sell.
Yes.
I couldn't not add that in there.
Do you guys have any more questions for us?
I'll ask this for somebody that like needs to implement everything that you just said, because I don't really have an email list yet. I'm working on that. What's the one thing I should start with?
As far as like with getting into email marketing?
Yeah, where what's the one thing you would say was top priority before I start trying to implement everything? Because then I'm just gonna get overwhelmed and I'm not gonna do anything.
So I would start with creating a really valuable lead magnet so you can start growing your email list. And also too, like it doesn't have to be this complicated thing. It also could just be you promoting your actual email list. I have plenty of clients who just do that because you give a lot of value, right? You can even kind of talk about it in a way where it's like this VIP experience, so to speak. But I would start with that, like getting people on your list. And I don't care if you only have one person on your list, get in the habit of emailing them consistently because it's like a muscle that you have to work. And as you continue to do it, it becomes a lot easier.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. If there aren't any more questions,
Ooh, thoughts. Okay, couple more questions. Thoughts on Substack. I do not like Substack. I feel like it works against you as a business owner because you're driving traffic elsewhere. You're not driving people to your website and whatnot. So yeah, I personally do not recommend Substack. I have some clients who they have a Substack on top of an email list and a website, and that's just, it's a lot to me. I rather write blogs for my own website so I can get people on my website where they're seeing my offers, they're learning more about me. On my website, I also have pop-ups for people to join my email list and stuff. And so I'm just a firm believer in driving people to your stuff versus having them jump to another platform. Because if you are using Substack as part of your marketing, well, now you have to get them to go over to your website or wherever you're, having your offers where they can actually learn more. You're having them jump through hoops. And that's where you start to lose leads because you're having them move to too many different places. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Pointers for someone who has not emailed their list in a while. Just start back emailing them. It doesn't have to be this big thing. Like, if you want to share a little bit, like, hey, I know I've been missing or I ghosted you guys for a minute. Like, this is what's been going on. But you don't even have to do that. Like, just start back emailing them. You may see some people unsubscribe because they may, like, depending on how long it's been, they may be like, who is this? But for the most part, you probably won't like see that. Like, I just wouldn't make a big deal about it. I would just get back to emailing them. And you can even to kind of like start with nurturing them. So maybe like if you have a new lead magnet or something that you can share with them, I would do that to kind of help rebuild that relationship. But yeah, just get back into it. Okay. Any more questions? All right. Well, should we wrap up then?
just Thank you all so much for being here live with us. You'll get the replay this afternoon. Any questions, please know Andrea and I are both here. Reach out if you've got anything. Again, the links are in the chat, but Andrea's email reset, my revenue strategy system calls, sorry, are both available to help you implement everything that we talked about today. Thank you, Andrea. I'm going to thank you too, as someone who was like furiously writing notes during your email part. I thought this was great. But yeah, thank you. Andrea, anything to close this out?
We actually had one more question come in, so I'm going to answer that. How many times per week should we send a sales email? Um, I'm biased, but I feel like the more sales emails you send, the better. Um, but I would say like it all depends on how often you've already been emailing your list. So if you're someone who maybe you've only been emailing your list twice a month, I would start with just kind of increasing to weekly emails. And so maybe 3 out of the 4 emails you send are sales emails. But just remember too, like with your sales emails, you can mix in that nurturing with it, that giving them value and educating and different things like that. You can do a mix of soft selling versus hard selling. Um, but yeah, I am a firm believer in sending more sales emails. So for me, I typically email anywhere from 3 to 4 times a week. And at least 3 of those emails are sales emails. So basically, if you want to see more conversions, you need to send more sales emails. You're welcome. Okay, so I just want to thank you all for being here. I really enjoyed talking about email with you guys and really love collaborating with you, Chrissy. So glad that we did this. But yes, you guys will be getting an email from us with the replay as well as the links to our offers. And we're both open books, so feel free to email us. You can even send me a DM on Instagram. I'm not actively posting on there, but I do respond to my DMs. All right.